So good name, ma'am. My name is Rina Minasala and I am the first reporter. So sentence. Sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. It is also a word that conveys a clear and complete idea. So sentence has two basic parts, which is subject and a verb. So subject, it is the person, place, thing, or idea the sentence is about. While verb, it is the action or state of being that the subject performs or experience. So there are 5 examples of sentence. Number 1, the dog barks. So now let's identify the subject and the verb. So the subject of this sentence in number 1 is dog, while the verb is barks. The second one, so they went to the park. So the subject is they, and the verb is went. The third one, so the teacher explained the lesson. So the subject is teacher, while the verb is explained. And then number 4, she sings beautifully. The subject is she, while the verb is sings. And the last one is the student study for the exam. So the subject is students, while the verb is study. So now let's move to the kinds of sentences according to structure. So sentences can be clarified or classified according to their structure. So number 1, the structures of sentence is simple sentence. So simple sentence, it contains one independent clause, a clause that can stand alone as a sentence. So there are 3 examples of simple sentence, which is number 1, she reads book. So now let's identify the subject and the verb. So the subject is she, and the verb is reads. So number 2, the baby is sleeping. So these sentences, it's considered as independent clause because it stands alone as a sentence. So number 2, the baby is sleeping. So we identify the subject and the verb. So the subject is baby, while the verb is sleeping. And the last one, they play soccer every afternoon. So the subject is they, and the verb is play. So compound sentence. Compound sentence, it contains 2 or more independent clauses connected by coordinating conjunctions. So now we will identify the independent clause first. So now, we will identify the first subject. So the first subject and the first independent clause is I, while the verb is wanted. And then, to the second independent clause, we will identify it as I is the subject and Y was is the verb. And now let's move on to number 2. So she loves pizza, yet she prefers pizza. So now the independent clause is, we will identify first the independent clause, which is she loves pizza, and then she prefers pasta. So now we will identify the first independent clause and the first sentence. The subject. We will identify the subject in the first independent clause, which is she, and the verb is loves. And now the second independent clause, we will identify the subject and the verb. So the subject is she, while the verb is prefers. And the last example of compound sentence is the sun was shining, so we went to the beach. And now we will identify the independent clause. So, in the first independent clause, we will identify the subject and the verb. So the first subject in the first independent clause was sun. And the verb is shining. And the second independent clause is we will identify the subject, which is we, and we will identify the verb as went.
Good day, ma'am. My name is Mark Justin Sumabat, and this is the continuation of report of Ms. Nasala, and we're going to start. Complex sentence. Complex sentence have one independent clause and one independent clause. So, number one, she stayed at home because it was raining. Our independent clause, ma'am, is she stayed at home. Here, our subject is she. Our verb stayed. So move on to number two. Although he was tired, he finished his work. Our independent clause, ma'am, is he finished his work. Our subject is he, and our verb is finished. Next, number three. Since she studied hard, she passed the exam. Our independent clause, ma'am, she passed the exam. Our subject is she, and our verb is past. So, let's move on to compound complex sentence. Compound complex sentence contain two or more independent clause and one independent clause. So, number one, although I was late, my friend waited for me and we went together. So, our independent clause is my friend waited for me and we went together. Our first subject is friend and our verb is waited. Now, the other subject is we and our verb is well. So, number two. Because she practiced regularly, she won the competition and she received a trophy. Our first independent clause, she won the competition. And the second independent clause, she received the trophy. A trophy. Now, our first subject is she, and our verb is won. Next, our next subject is she, and our verb is received. Now next, number three. I did my homework while my brother played, but our parents were working. So, our first independent clause is I did my homework. Next, our parents were working. Now, our first independent clause is I subject I. Next is our verb is did. The next subject is our, and our next verb is working. So that's all for compound complex sentence, ma'am. Let's move on to declarative sentence. Declarative sentence are state of facts or opinion. So let's start. The sky is blue. So we're going to put period, and our subject is sky, and our verb is is. Next, she enjoys painting. So again, this is and state facts or opinion. So let's put period. And our first subject, our subject is she, and our verb is enjoys. Next, our class start at 8 a.m. So again, let's put a period, and our subject is our, and our verb is starts. Next, interrogative sentence. This is asking a question. So, number one, what time does the train leaves? So, we're going to use question mark. And we need to identify our subject and our verb. Our subject is train, and our verb is leaves. Leave. So, next, where did you buy that dress? So, again, let's use question mark, and we need to identify our subject and our verb. Our subject is you, and our verb is buy. Next, last one for interrogative sentence. Did you finish your assignment? So let's put question mark. So let's identify our subject and our verb. Our subject is you, and our verb is finish. So let's move on to interrogative or imperative sentence. Next, for imperative sentence. Next, imperative sentence. It gives a command or request. So we need to use period. So number one, please pass the salt. Please pass the salt. Our subject is you. Our subject is I, and our verb is pass. Number two, close the door quietly. Again, let's put a period. And our subject is I, and our verb is close. Number three, don't talk during the exam. So our subject is I, and our verb is talk. Next, last one, exclamatory sentence. This expresses strong emotion or feelings. For example, wow, that was amazing. Okay. Our subject is that, and our verb is was. Next, I can't believe we won the game. Our subject is I, and our verb is can't believe. And last one, what a beautiful sunset. Okay. Now let's identify our subject and our verb. Our subject is sunset, and our verb is none. So that's all, ma'am, for the continuation of the report, and thank you.